Good evening, everybody. Welcome to One Hub Racing. This is season 17, sponsored by our three sponsors, Next Level Racing, Vespertine, and Liam. My name is Jess, one of the hosts for tonight's tier announcements, the head of broadcasting at One Hub Racing. And joining me in the commentary box is double commentators champion, Luke Etheridge. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, Jess. Good evening to you. Good evening to everyone who is watching. Looking forward to finding out, firstly, what tiers all the drivers are in, and hopefully finding out who I'll be commentating over for the next season.
Yes, we won't. I did tell Luke what tier he's commentating in, but I'm not going to tell you guys. I'm going to leave it as a surprise. But yes, qualifying night happened earlier on in the week on Friday. Obviously, a lot of you guys were watching it, and it was basically to decide mainly what tiers everybody will be in. And once again, it was at the famous Bahrain circuit. And it was nice to see quite a few people, a lot of people actually, improving from last season's time. It means probably they got used to the game a little bit more, don't you think, Luke?
Yeah, definitely. There's always different little idiosyncrasies with every game that you have to get used to. The cars change slightly every year. I wonder whether different consoles might have changed things ever so slightly, because of course some people will have raced on the PS5 for this qualifying night. Some people will have raced on the PS4, so whether that made a difference or not, who knows?
Yeah, maybe, potentially. I did speak to a few drivers saying it might have made a difference for them. It didn't quite make a difference to me, but there we go. But yes, I'm going to be revealing we're all going to be revealing each of the tiers in turn. So we're going to go in reverse order, actually. We're going to start with Prospect, and then we're going to go to Podium, and to get a little bit of a suspense, I will reveal Pinnacle after Podium, and then lastly, I will reveal Precision. After each tier also, I will be revealing who will be commentating for that particular tier this season, and then after that, we'll tell you guys potentially what our thoughts on who we think is going to challenge for the title this season. Great to see all of you in the chat as well. I did turn Luke up a bit as well because he was a bit quiet at my end, but there we go. So without further ado, we may as well get started with the very first tier, which starts at 6:15 on Friday night. It is the bottom tier, as is the Prospect tier, and I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Luke Etheridge. Over to you.
Right, so the Prospect tier, the drivers that will be taking part in what is, like you said, the bottom tier, but that means it is definitely going to be one to watch. We have got ISRL Storm and Indecisive, who's obviously one of the commentators here as well. So I don't think you'll be too surprised to find out he's in the bottom tier. We've got TFR Erdy, a new driver who is returning, and we've got someone who everyone is very familiar with, and I'm fairly certain you're familiar with her, Jess, yourself, returning to the Prospect tier. Gazzaman, Craig Senna, and IGK ends as he was now just ends, all coming back from Prospect. VSMT Adam, a new driver. Rich dropping down from Podium surprises me slightly, as I know he's a driver that has shown some decent form on previous games, just seems to be struggling a bit more with this one. Kingan, Zach Jarvis returning to the Prospect tier as well. Another driver who's returning after last racing way back on the first season on F1 2019, one of my ex-comms partners, Liam JHMC. It'd be interesting to see how he can do. Bush Lightyear, with an absolutely fantastic name, I've got to say. The American, he's a new driver. Then MCFC boy, Alex Lilliart, Rogue, Salty Bear, with returning drivers from the Prospect here, Alpha and TJW, some new drivers that are coming in. They'll all be hoping to do fairly well. I think they'll all be glad that Gus isn't in that tier. And I've got to say, I'm looking at that and I can't really pick out an obvious winner at the moment.
Yes, I can't pick out an obvious winner to that either. I think it's going to be quite open as well, but we'll go through our thoughts about that in a minute, because we are going to be revealing who's going to be commentating this tier. And I'm very excited for this lineup. Both of those commentators actually raced in One Hub before. Actually, both of them raced last season, and both of them are not racing this season, going into the commentary box. And we have someone returning from reserve commentator to full-time. It is Jamie, and we've got Mr. Danestar making his One Hub commentary full-time debut in the Prospect here. So those are your commentators for the Prospect here, and those are your 19 drivers in the Prospect here. We've still got one space available should people be interested in signing up who maybe a beginner driver that are still looking to find their feet. But yeah, I got to agree, Lou. I can't pick a name on who I think's going to be the favourite to be prospect champion this season.
No, I mean, a few of those drivers did show fairly decent form. I mean, Gaza did a pretty good job, I must say, in qualifying night. Big improvement from previous years. He was really happy with how he did. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. He always seems to be sort of mid-table at the moment, no matter what league you put him in. So really interested to see how he can do. Liam on his return, I know he had quite a bit of bad luck last time he was in, so interesting to see how he does as well. Alex can show decent form at times, as can Zach and Truth. Kingan as well, he's another one that's fairly quick. And some new names as well. Who knows? Is a new name going to come in and take the title? We've seen it happen before. Could well happen again. This bottom tier, always really interesting. There's always a chance for someone to bump themselves up. And as you said, there's one space remaining. Who says that our champion isn't watching this at the moment and thinking, oh, I might give that a go?
Yeah, I might give that a go at that as well. And I haven't got the updated image for Prospect, apparently, even though I have updated the Prospect image earlier on. So I do apologise about that. But yes, I think I am actually looking forward to racing in this tier this season. There's quite a few people that I really want to race with. And, you know, I was the bottom tier time out of everybody. But it's not going to make me any nervous. It's a good feat for anyone, I think, as well, for just to start their One Hub Racing career as well. So I'm just very, very excited to see how that goes. And don't forget, it is at 6:30. That's an old time. 6:15 p.m. UK time, and his commentators are Jamie and Dane. Danestar, I like to call it as well. So we've done the prospect here. The correct graphic is on Twitter, so if you want to check that out, those are the 20 drivers that is going to be in the post. And it's not I'm just trying to figure out what apparently I think according to Lukey, it's not Rich that's in prospect anymore, it's Troop that's in prospect, but according to the spreadsheet it's the other way around. But we'll try and get that fixed for you. But without further ado, we're going to move on to the podium tier, and whilst I'm at it, I will say the podium tier commentators. I will spice them up a bit and do that next. So the podium tier commentators for this season is the familiar faces, Johannes and Minty. So they will be coming back to the podium tier, familiar face as well. So great to see them back on the podium tier commentary. So I'll go through. We've got a full grid of 20 drivers for the podium tier, and we're going to go through that right now. So in podium tier, we've got two drivers from podium tier last season, TC1392 and Rainman. We've also got prospect tier driver from last season who's making a return after leaving a bit earlier last season. It's Liam, RBS_Twitch, and he's also one of our sponsors. We've got James Dovey, who's dropped down from position. Maybe podium would be the best option for him this season, and let's see how we could do in the podium tier. We've got SD Mats and OKK21 also returning from podium last season. And we also got a new driver of Tribe97, a returning driver, and someone I was not expecting to be in the podium tier. I thought he would be precision tier after his incredible form in season 14, but no, he's in the podium tier. It is, of course, White Fountain, your season 14 podium position tier champion. Looking probably one of the favourites, maybe. He was a bit slow on qualifying night. Maybe that's probably why he was put in this tier, but we'll find out pretty soon. Astronauty is making his a promotion to the podium tier, joining Liam as well in that. Kelvin making a drop down from precision tier to join this tier. VR Kelvin, I should say. King, Jorit, Dexter, Vitinio, Zeppa_99 and Kong Hoffner making their returns to the podium tier. And it is Rich 500 that is in podium tier, and Truth NRP is in the prospect tier, just to confirm that. Nikki 9095, he's making a promotion to the podium tier. Lawrence has dropped down from the position tier, and one of our only 2 new drivers joining this tier. I can't even pronounce the name. Another Belgian. So TC is going to be happy there's another Belgian on the grid. I can't even pronounce his name. Fi422. And those are your 20 drivers in the podium tier, Luke. Any names that spice up could potentially be the podium tier champion?
Yeah, I think you mentioned him near the end there. TC's definitely got a good chance. I think Rainman as well. Then you've got the unknowns again. How's White Fountain going to do on a return after 2 seasons away? Only a couple of new drivers actually in that tier, being Tribe and Flay at the bottom. So might take them a few races to sort of get into the rhythm. I get a feeling TC could put in a good performance. Rich, again, he's another decent driver. As I said, you've got Calvin and Lawrence coming down. A few races, Lawrence put in really decent performances last season in Precision when I covered him. Just for one reason or another, it didn't go to plan. And he was actually deadly quick at the first qualifying night. He's just obviously having a new kid. He's unsurprisingly concentrating on being a dad at the moment, and racing sort of taking a back seat. So who knows whether he could put in some good performances. But TC and Nicky, I remember them back on F1 2019 having some good battles. So maybe we could see Nicky bump his way up from prospect, maybe even for challenging wins in podium.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's quite surprising to see we got less new drivers this season. A lot of people have returned from last season, which is great to see as well. And it's great to see a few familiar faces getting the fold. And there's a few more returning drivers that we are going to be talking about later on. And some of you may know that person already if you were watching qualifying night, and I was really happy with his lap as well. And he knows obviously what tier he's in, because he was one of the few people that saw the tiers. But yeah, we'll go through that a little bit later on. So just a big confirmation podium tier on at 7 p.m. UK time, and your commentators, just like last season, is Johannes and Minty. I'm very excited for this lineup, and there we go. And just like Prospect, Peter Parker is not racing this season either, so they're going to be glad that Peter Parker is not in this lineup. So we can see possibly a new drivers and possibly constructors champion for the podium tier.
Yeah, depending on what teams we sort of get linking together. I said before, Nicky and TC have been teammates before. We know already that Tribe and Liam are already talking about possibly being teammates with each other, so I'll have to see how that copes. Yeah, definitely a good opportunity for some people to not only win the titles, let's not forget the fantastic prizes, thanks to our sponsors as well, that come with winning the championship. That always adds a bit of a spice, knowing that you're getting a trophy at the end of it, and possibly a PSN voucher as well.
Yeah, and also they have a choice of also winning the Amazon gift card as well for the drivers, constructors, and commentators championship as well. They don't just have to have a PSN voucher. If they don't like PSN voucher, they can have an Amazon voucher as well. So that's good to see. So it's time for the big reveal now. Who is going to be driving in the Pinnacle tier this season, which is going to be at 8:30 UK time. And I'll just get the little screen moment on your screen. And I think before we say the lineup, I think we've got you got a little bit of a surprise to tell us, Luke, haven't you? What you're doing on Friday nights?
Yeah, well, my Friday nights from a bit before 8:30 because I need to prepare. Obviously, I've become a bit busier all of a sudden. Yeah, I will be commentating on the Pinnacle tier. Looking forward to seeing what the best One Hub has to offer, can do. But Jess, you've left me in suspense as to who I'm actually going to be alongside next season.
It was really, really tough to decide who was going to be your co-com, but Pinnacle tier, I wanted to make sure it was someone that it was a familiar face to the community who's commentated with you before. And last season he also raced in it as well. He's also racing this season as well. And he was a little bit pushed for time to try and get into the commentary box with you last season. And we thought that he just given a little bit more time, he should be absolutely fine. Can you guess who is your co-commentator? Can you guess?
I've got a funny feeling it might be Indecisive again.
Yes, it is. So Indecisive and Luke are going to be your Pinnacle tier commentators. I think he's going to be very happy about that. He's tweeted on Twitter that he was hoping to join you in the commentary box this season and in Pinnacle as well. So congratulations to both of you. You got the top spot, so well done. But since you're commentating this tier this season, I'm going to hand it to you to tell us will you be commentating this season, and who's going to be the 19, 20 drivers that is going to be making up your top tier? Over to you.
Yeah, so the drivers I will be commentating on and who will be hoping to get for the title of the fastest driver in One Hub Season 17, you have got from Pinnacle last year, we've got Netsky, Larkin, and Lakitu. We've got a new driver popping in as well, Toxic, very quick driver on his day, and the Precision Constructors Champions have moved their way up. Khalifa, who won the Constructors Champion alongside the two-time reigning Precision tier champion, who's now hoping to do it in the Pinnacle tier, and that is Jano. Cliffy and Konzo, some other drivers are returning from the Pinnacle tier. Samba Gamer, Arnaud, who was very quick indeed on qualifying light, and Lawmans. They are some new drivers. Lukey and J Luke, for two Lukes, once again confusing myself and Matt in the Precision tier last year, will be confusing us in Pinnacle this time around. The Only Thomas and Bryn are some new drivers that are returning. Scopefielder and Ollie Flavel, two other drivers who looked as though they could win the championship in Precision last year. They'll be seeing what they can do in Pinnacle, and in fact, it is a return to the top tier for Ollie Flavel after a season away. Dynastics is another driver who is brand new. We're looking to see what he can do. Infamous Pillars also is new, and Dan Murphy, staying in Pinnacle after last season, should be absolutely fantastic. There are some really quick drivers in that tier. I think it's going to be a challenge for Jano to make it 3 straight titles.
Oh, sorry, my mic was on mute there. That was what Louis did last season. He made it 3 in a row and made it a retirement to league racing as well. But Jano wasn't sure if he was actually going to make it 3 for 3 this season, and he was wasn't sure if he was going to retire after the end of the day. He probably wanted to carry on racing for a little bit more as well. But it's nice to see quite a lot of position drivers as well in there as well from last season as well, because there was one thing that was changed this season where there was a few drivers that were maybe were a little bit too a bit cocky maybe, or maybe didn't turn up as much to the races, and we wanted to change that this season. So the pace cap, not many people were affected. Only one driver was affected by that. So I think there was one person that took part in qualifying night. We thought he was a little bit too quick for any tier. So unfortunately, he is no longer taking part at One Hub. But, you know, what can you do? Netsky was a little bit closer in reaching that. But because of Netsky's race pace, it justified him getting into the top tier this season. But yeah, I think it's going to be very close between maybe Janel, maybe. I've got to say Ollie Flavel again. I really don't know. It could go to anyone. Cliffy again on his day, but who would have thought it? That we could see again, maybe a new driver, like what Gus did in Prospect, climb it up to the top of the standings and maybe show what the older guys, what they're made of as well. And who knows? We'll see if Jano and Khalifa could team it up again in Pinnacle this season, and see if they can make it 2 for 2.
Yeah, it's very possible they do well as teammates together. Janel, he's already talking. He's looking forward to trying to do the 3-peat in Pinnacle this time, emulating, of course, what Louis did, who won't be racing with us this season. It's going to be hard. Lakitu, Toxic, Netsky, Larkin. There's so many quick drivers. Cliffy, like you said, admits he got carried towards the Constructors' Championship on his day. He's an extremely fast driver. Arnaud put in a very good performance in qualifying night. And I already mentioned there were times last season where Scopefield and Ollie Flavel really pushed Janel to the limit and really made it quite difficult at times. The championship looked really close in Precision last year, and it is good to see some of the protagonists from that have moved up a tier. Will they be fighting for the wins again? Might have to see after the first couple of races how they're all doing.
It looks like almost the whole of the top 6 in position are in the Pinnacle. So I think quite a lot of people have moved up, but obviously it looks like a completely new grid to last season, and a few new drivers are probably going to be a bit nervous going into the top tier for the first time. But we've seen Dynastics. He's in a few top tiers in other leagues as well. We see what he could do as well, and obviously Infamous Pillars, we saw what we could do in other leagues too. We took those into account, and Toxic, haven't seen his pace in many leagues, but you know, we'll be interested to see what they can do. So we revealed all but one tier, and if your name wasn't read, then potentially this may mean you're in the precision tier this season, apart from if you're in the pace cap, but we'll have to find out pretty soon as well. And I will wait to reveal the commentators right until the very end as well, because obviously we've got a few reserves this season as well. So precision tier at 7:45 UK time. Can anyone, and there is going to be a new precision tier champion because Janel has moved up. So here we go. So we're going to start off with Catboy Key, who has made a jump from the podium tier. He was the Racing Point Constructors champion last season with Peter Parker. It's great to see him making the jump up. Was looking very good on the qualifying night. He was around about 6/10 of seconds quicker than his previous best. So that was good to see. And a familiar face to the league, obviously. Rantaro __, and I can't even pronounce his name. It's Cloudy Balloons. He changed his names how many times? I don't even know. But his qualifying night was very, very impressive. He just missed out on being in Pinnacle by the skin of his teeth. But he's probably relieved he's in precision tier. So yeah, we got a new driver of Hindle 9567. And Cashman has moved his way up from podium. Was looking very impressive in qualifying night, as well as F1_Farf. Jonas Albrit stays in precision as well. It'll be interesting to see how well he does, because some of the other drivers have left to go to Pinnacle. Will he go up there in the top? We've got Rimpei 37 from precision, as well as Schnitzel as well. We've got Chris from podium, who just missed out on the podium tier constructors champion with Scorpion. Speaking of Scorpion, he's also in the precision tier as well. We've got Jules, who is a new driver. Be interesting to see how he does. He's joined by another Dutch, Raleigh Buys, who's making the jump from the podium tier. Next, we got two new drivers of Jordan and Tom Robo _12. Nosey making the jump down from Pinnacle to precision tier this season. We've got two drivers returning from precision. Kian and Eva Hainen, I don't even know how to pronounce my name. And the final two drivers of the precision tier are two returning drivers. First of all, it's Josh Fletcher from Prestige a few seasons ago. And we thought he wasn't going to return until season 18, but making his return to One Hub Racing is the GOAT himself, the league owner himself, Nick Egan. He's making his return to One Hub Racing as a driver. Who would have thought, Luke?
Who would have thought? And the pressure's sort of going to be on, I think, for himself and Fletcher, because these drivers have both been in the top tiers before. I mean, the last season Nick was in, I believe he was in the Pinnacle, but back then that was the second tier, whereas Josh Fletcher's last season was in Prestige when that was the top tier. There's going to be a bit of pressure on them. In the first few races, if they don't perform as well, people are going to be saying, well, they should have just stopped completely. It might take them a few races just to sort of get them into the rhythm of things. It's only a 10-race season. Whether they'll have the time to get into the rhythm, I'm not so sure. And there's going to be two very lucky people commentating on this tier.
Yes, indeed. And I'm very, very excited about this one as well. And those two are very, very good commentators in other leagues as well. And they did very well last season. And I feel gutted that this person made the drop down, but it was mainly due to timings. But your commentators who will be covering the Precision Tier League is Jake Warrior and Sam Thompson. So that is going to be a great lineup. He's going to be covering the Precision Tier at 7:45. Sam actually raced in Precision Tier last season, so he knows what it's like to race against the majority of these drivers. And yeah, that's all your 8 commentators for this league, and all your 78 drivers racing in the One Hub Racing tier. We got one more space in the Precision tier. So if anyone's roughly at a good pace to join the Precision tier, maybe you should get DM in the One Hub Racing account. Maybe you want to sign up. So yeah, and some people asking if I'm commentating. No, I'm not, unfortunately. I've been begging Nick to commentate every season, but he said no. I'm going to be reserved. But yeah, who are the standouts for Precision, do you think, Luke? Apart from obviously the returners, who do you think is going to get the title this season?
Oh, that. To be honest, it's a tough question. You've got Catboy Key, who's been promoted up, but he has that sort of momentum. So we'll see how he does. We know he's really good on this game. Schnitzel was extremely consistent with not getting any penalties. Wouldn't surprise me, though, if Verheyen returns to the top steps and returns to a championship. We saw glimpses of his podium winning form from a couple of seasons ago. We did actually manage to pick up the top 3 finish last year in Precision tier. And now that Janel and some of those others have moved up, he'll definitely be fancying his chances. Another Finn as well, Rimpe. He only joined at the end of the season, but he showed some decent pace at times. So if he can just get that consistency, maybe he'll be one to watch. But again, it's too close to call. We'll have to see how the first few races go.
Yeah, and it's not long to go until the first races of the season. It's coming by quick and fast as we speak at the moment. I'm very excited about the calendar as well. The first race is actually on the 11th of December, so it's around about just under 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks on Friday. So, well, the Friday just gone. So these guys have got to prepare a little bit for the seasons ahead, of course. And they could be winning some lovely trophies provided by our sponsors, Liam, who is obviously racing in the podium tier this season. And our sponsors are probably you, Luke, and me, and the other commentators are going to be struggling to say, but I think I did speak to Nick to see what it is. It's Vespertine. I think that's how you say it. But if they're in the chat, can you let me know? They are a great brand, and they're going to be buying the trophies this season. And obviously, Next Level Racing as well. Next Level Racing, they're going to be providing the stands to the winner of the Going Gets Tough Award. So the Going Gets Tough Award is basically someone that maybe not be in the top 3. They complete every single... Well, they attend every single race and complete their pre- and post-race interviews every single week on time. And we did see Dexter winning that as well. So, yeah, it should be very, very interesting there. So let's go through the calendar, actually. We got Austria on the 11th. Then we got Bahrain on the 18th. And then we have a Christmas break before we go back to Hungary. Then we got Abu Dhabi, Brazil, Baku, Britain, Vietnam, Mexico, and Japan going on the final race on the 26th of February. If you were racing, what would be your favourite track to race in?
I always enjoy racing around Japan. I do quite like the old school circuits, whether I'm actually any good on the old school circuit is a completely different matter. Austria as an opening race of the season always seems to provide good races. I think Baku and then Vietnam a couple of weeks later, they could be really key races. Drivers having problems with street circuits. If you have DNFs around both of them races, any championship chances are really going to go out the window. There's some fairly solid races there, and there's probably, if you look at this calendar and you look at the last season's calendar, there's probably a few hints at what tracks are going to be definitely appearing next season around.
Yeah, indeed, and there's some tracks that I don't like around this circuit. I think Baku's one of them, and Vietnam, but the rest of them I think look pretty good for my taste at the moment. So, yes, and I need to double check with the management, Nick in particular, if we can go through with the team contracts, because I believe after this stream, that is when the team contracts open, where you can decide your which teams you want to go for. So, a quick information about the team contracts, actually. You'll be going on to the website as soon as they open, and you'll be choosing, well, you can apply for as many teams as you want, and there's certain criteria that you'll be going for. Don't just go for one team, maybe go for more than one. If you are a new driver, for example, going for the bottom tiers will probably be your only option, but don't hesitate to apply for the other teams as well. We did see one season where Nikki was the only one that applied for Renault, and guess what? Nikki got that team. So, yeah, there's 3 at T. So the bottom tier is Williams, Racing Point, Haas, and AlphaTauri. And then we got Renault, McLaren, and Alfa Romeo in the second top teams, where if you been in one hub for more than one season, got some good stats, maybe that is a team that you could probably be considering as well. Maybe you've got at least one driver a day. And also, there's obviously the top teams, the ones who are looking for victories. So if you had a few Constructors' Championships, Drivers' Championships, or if you've got a few wins maybe as well, maybe 2 drivers a day, that is a team for you as well. So very, very interesting there. And I've just been informed by Nick that they are open. So any advice, Luke, on how people should approach their team contracts? Because it's very, very important that they get it right.
Yeah, as Jess said, there's no harm in applying for a higher tier than what you think you'll be getting in. Make sure to read the criteria. Don't get too downhearted if you don't get a team, because only half the grid will get a team. So one slot in each team will be filled by the contracts, and then the teammate negotiations come in. If I was Janel, I'd go for Mercedes again, because I think it's 3 seasons in a row now. What I've commentated on one hub, I've commentated on a Finn winning the title in a Mercedes. So that definitely seems to be the secret if you've got me commentating on your league. Yeah, have a think about it. Have a think about which cars you enjoy as well, because they all sound slightly different and handle slightly different, even though they are, of course, meant to be equal cars. So don't just go in there willy-nilly. Just give it a bit of a think. And also, if you don't get a team, then obviously have a think about which driver you'd like to be teammates with.
And if you know whose driver you want to be teammates with, maybe look at your stats, both of you potentially. If your teammate that you want to be with has higher stats, maybe that person can apply to be in a team, and then if that person gets a team, then you could go straight into that team. So if you're like, so Janel, for example, has got quite a few drivers' championships, and you want to be teammates with him, and you've already agreed to it, then maybe you don't have to worry about applying. You could just wait to see if Janel gets accepted, for example, and then you can automatically get that team as well. That's probably what I'm going to be doing as well, because I think I've got a teammate in mind that I want to be with this season, and that person's got higher stats than me. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, of course. But let us know in the chat and on Twitter, did you think you were going to get the tiers that you were in? Because I think there was a few surprises, a few disappointments as well, because I know a few of you were gutted that you were dropped down, for example, as well. And you know, I think when I told Luke his commentary position, I think you were very, very happy, weren't you, about commentating for Pinnacle? I think you were very shocked, weren't you?
I was a bit surprised, yeah, to be honest. Nice to make my way up into Pinnacle. Hopefully I'll get to see some great racing as well. Obviously, with the pace cap, it might make things a bit closer, and it'd be an absolute dream if we go into Suzuka without really having a clue who's going to end up taking the championship.
Yes, indeed. So I think we're going to wrap up the stream, I think, at the moment. And I see a few of you applying for teams already, which is great to see. I've still got to figure out what team we're going to be going in, but we'll do that after the stream. We both got places to go. I'm sure most of you got places to go, so we won't leave you hanging any longer. Thank you guys so much for watching the tier announcement stream. The next stream on the YouTube channel is going to be on the 11th of December between 6:15 and 8:30 for the Austrian Grand Prix. That's going to be the first race of the season. Make sure you guys get practicing for that, because it will come sooner than you think, I've got to say. So anyway, I've been Jess. Thanks, Luke, for joining us. And one question: do you think you're going to defend your commentator's crown? And are you going to do the same as Janel and go 3 for 3?
Oh, it'd be nice, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. To be honest, I was surprised I've won it once, never mind twice. But who knows? Maybe I'll do the 3P. If I do, though, I don't think I'll do a Louis and head off after that. We'll have to see. I hope not, because we need you. And it's great to see quite a lot of you watching as well. Quite a lot of you. So anyway, we'll see you on the 11th of December for the Austrian Grand Prix. And for those of you in Prospect, I'll see you on the track. Have a good evening. Bye.